Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the best show on Thursdays. And that's Invest in Your Future. I'm your host, Kenny, CEO of Corona Group Corporation. I come here every Thursday around noontime to give you guys some knowledge and to help my fellow ladies and gentlemen, to help give as much knowledge as I can to make sure that everyone at least is, in terms of finances and financial and business, they have a chance to be successful. So I give all this knowledge, and I always want to give back as much as possible, because giving back is obviously one of the best things you could do. And I always want to feel like I'm contributing something instead of just taking. You should listen to that episode. Actually, it's an episode on how giving is better than taking. But let me start here the podcast. We can get started. So, get the podcast started here. Welcome back to another episode of Invest in Your Future. I'm your host, Kenny, CEO of Corona Group Corporation. I want to thank you guys for joining me today for another episode. We're here every Thursday to give back as much in terms of knowledge, in terms of for business, personal development, and also just handling your money right. And first, I want to say thank you to all those people who've been writing and texting and emailing and just dropping comments. We love questions, we love comments, we love suggestions in terms of future topics. So please keep sending those. If you're listening to us on Facebook, if you're listening to us on Instagram, if you're listening to us on the podcast, wherever, Apple, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen to us, thank you. We always appreciate your comments, and also just showing up, because showing up is 80% of the battle. And I show up every Thursday, and I want to make sure that I always give the best I can in terms of knowledge, but also making sure I'm consistent with it, and making sure that I don't just talk. I also do what I preach. Nothing worse than a guru who just has the knowledge but doesn't actually implement it. For myself, I am implementing it daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and that's how I've been able to achieve what I have, but also just to be able to have the knowledge to give to people, because I don't just read the books, I also implement it. And that's why I always give people an opportunity to purchase a seminar that we did about 2 months ago. The seminar was called Zero to Millions in Assets. It's the first Invest in Your Future seminar. We had ton of people show up, and we want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to see it. So we have, wherever you're watching this or listening to this, we're going to have a link. It's going to take you straight to my shop, on my online shop. You can buy it for $14. It's one of the best investments you can make, and it'll help not just you, but also maybe family members. You can sit down and watch it together. If you want physical DVDs, we have physical DVDs, and you just send us your physical address. We'll send you a copy so you can have it in your house and give it to other people and friends if you want to. Today's episode is really specifically for you people out there who are hearing the same things over and over again. So, how do you prepare for a recession? That's the episode today. How do you prepare for a recession? Now, if you look on the radio, the newspapers, the TV, everywhere, someone or somebody is preaching there's a recession coming, or where a recession is on its loom, it's coming, and this is what you should do, and this is what this is what's going to happen. Now, the first thing is you have to understand that recessions do happen. That's the first thing. Recessions do happen, and the fact is recessions typically happen every 10 years. 10 years there's a recession, and usually something something happens. The last recession we had was in 2008, and it was the financial, in terms of the housing crash. That was the recession that caused, the market to tank and the market to really, reduce in terms of value. Now, for myself, back then, 2008, I was in college, so I didn't even know what a recession was. I didn't know that it was affecting me because I didn't have any money. If you don't have any money, a recession can't affect you because you don't care. You're just looking for, somewhere to eat and something to be comfortable with, and maybe something to lay with at night. That's all you're focused on. Otherwise, it's not in your head. You don't even care. But when you do have some money and you actually trying to make moves and trying to grow in terms of business, in terms of personally, in terms of financially, you're gonna really want to dissect this episode that we're going to talk about today on how to prepare for a recession. There are some things you can do, and there's some things you shouldn't do. And a lot of people are doing a lot of things that they shouldn't do in terms of preparing for a recession, because that's all you hear is a recession is on its loom, and people, are losing jobs, and it's a fact. I mean, retailers are losing jobs by the hundreds of thousands. Retailers are closing stores by the hundreds. People are working harder than ever, and they still don't see the money in their account. This is just typical of what's happening. This is just ask your friends, ask your family members, and you'll see what's going on. Now, there's two ways to think of it. You could be a pessimist or you could be an optimist. That's it. There's only two ways you can look at this in terms of recessions. These things are very important. You can either be a pessimist or you can be an optimist. It's a simple, concept of either you look at the glass half full or you look at the glass half empty. That's how you look at things. And that's the only way you can look at it. You can't look at it both ways. You have to look at it, is it a negative for you or is it going to be a positive for you? That's the first thing, is you need to understand in terms of recession, that's how people look at it, and that's how people understand it. Now, since the recession does happen, and you're guaranteed it's going to happen, typically it's every 10 years. So last time was 2008. We should have had a recession last year in 2018, typically, or coming up. Now, is this written in stone? Is this a law? No, it's not a law. It's just the history, the past. Every 10 years, there's been a recession. Now, if you're a pessimist, and what you think of recessions are, you're going to be angry, you're going to be upset, you're going to be thinking loss, or loss is going to happen to you, or it's just a negative mindset to think the whole time that we're in a recession and this is what's going to happen, and I'm going to lose my job, blah blah blah. That's the pessimist mindset in terms of what they're thinking about and what's going to happen to them. Now, optimists, they think they're happy a recession is coming. A lot of rich people, a lot of people with a lot of money are happy when recessions happen. They're actually joyful. They know that they're going to get something positive out of it. They're looking at the positive, what they can make and what they can buy. They just look at it in a positive way. That's how optimists think. Now, is it right to think one way or the other? Personally, myself, I don't look at pessimist or optimist. What I look at is opportunity. That's what I'm looking for. As a business owner, and for yourself as an individual or a business owner or a person who wants to be in business, you have to think opportunity. So in a time of growth, there might be opportunity, but there might not be as much opportunity. Now, for myself, since in 2008, I didn't have any money, I didn't see the opportunity. I didn't see the opportunity in real estate. I didn't see the opportunity in business. I didn't see the opportunity in the things that were happening around me, because I was focused on school and getting my grades and the debt I had. I wasn't focused on anything else except that. So for me, I always look at it as opportunity. So for me, a recession is actually an opportunity. So I'm looking as an optimist. I'm looking at it as I'm actually happy that a recession is happening or is going to happen, because as a business owner, the only thing you should be focused on is increasing your business. Now, how do you increase your business? Yes, it can happen when things are going up, but things are going to be more expensive. So now you think of it as a business owner, you always want to buy things cheap. If you own a restaurant, You're not going to go buy the most expensive produce. No, you're going to go find the cheapest produce possible because you want to make the highest gain possible. If you're, selling suitcases, you don't want to go buy the most expensive suitcases from Louis Vuitton. No, you want to go to the cheapest Chinese factory in China, get the cheapest suitcases and sell them for the highest return because you're in business. That's why I preach people is be an opportunist in terms of think opportunity. For myself, since I'm a business owner and I'm looking for real estate, when a recession is happening, like how do you prepare for a recession as a business owner? What I'm looking for is a certain couple things. I'm looking for the cheapest buildings possible to make the highest return possible. So I don't think, a recession is a bad thing or a good thing. For me, it doesn't matter. I don't look at that. I look at what's the opportunity as a business person, as a business owner, as a personal individual, as to reach my goals. A recession is actually a good thing. My goal is 2,950 units. If I buy them on the high expensive end, I can't, it'll be longer terms for me to get my money back. But if I buy them in the cheap end, when there is a recession, I'm getting a higher return on my money. I'm getting a higher, in terms of cost, my costs are cheaper, but my return is going to be much higher. That's how you need to think of yourself. You need to think of recessions as opportunities for yourself, for your family, for your business. That's what you need to think of. So how do you prepare for a recession? A couple things. The first thing is you need to obviously understand recessions happen. So that's just given. But the way you prepare for recession is you have to prepare for the worst and pray for the best, or pray for the best and prepare for the worst. Now, what does that mean? That means that you need to be constantly vigilant in terms of your money, in terms of your finances. You need to be vigilant because you have to think, for my business or for personally, what's the worst thing that could happen? What's the worst thing that could happen? What's the worst possible thing that could happen? Why are we doing this? Because we want to give ourselves a stress test. We want to give ourselves a stress test before the stress happens. So what we're doing is we're testing ourselves. What's the worst thing that could happen? The worst thing that could happen is probably most likely death or something close to that, where you're incapacitated and you can't move. Do you have income that comes to you without you working? That's just number one. Look at that. Look at that situation. The worst thing that could happen is you're paralyzed head to toe and you can't work. Would you have money coming in, regardless if you were working a single day for the rest of your life? If you don't, that means that stress test you failed. You failed that stress test. Now, how do you prepare for that? You have to prepare for the worst. This is the first step in terms of preparing for a recession. Remember, we have to prepare for the worst and pray for the best. If this never happens, great. Obviously, we don't want those things to happen, but we want to make sure we're prepared for when things happen. So what happens if you lost your car? What if your business is your car and you lost that car? Would your business be able to survive? Would you be able to survive? Which means be able to go get the money or go to your job. That's the stress test right there. Prepare for the worst. If I lost my car, I have a friend's car. I can rent a car. I can Uber. I can Lyft. I can go buy another car, have some money on the side for that. Those are the kind of things you can prepare your mind and your business and personally on how to prepare for recession. Give yourself stress tests in all facets of your life. In terms of, what if all your money got robbed? What if you messed up your credit to zero? What if whatever? All these give yourself all these stress tests so that if a recession happens and something does happen, you lose your job, you already have a game plan for what's going to happen. What are you going to do? So that's the first thing, is just prepare for the worst and pray for the best. That's the first thing. The second thing, in terms of preparing for recession, is live as if you're in recession right now. Even if we're living in good times, the stock market is booming, the real estate's high, whatever, live like you're in recession right now. What does that mean? So that means do not rely on one job, because we did the stress test, like number one. We are getting multiple flows of income. So multiple flows of income, and we're getting our money right. That's the thing, because when a recession happens, most people lose their job or they just don't have their money right. That's how people lost their houses in 2008. They had one job, so when they lost their job, they lost the house, or they didn't have their money right, so they lost everything. That's just not being prepared. So make sure you live in a recession right now. You actually have your money right and you have your income flows right. And if you don't know how to make income flows or increase your income, go to our website. We'll have the zero to millions in assets, and we'll show you how to create assets and create more flows of income for you. Go to our website. We'll show you some ways to do that. The third thing is you have to load up on cash. If you want to prepare for recession, you actually have to load up on cash. The reason for this is cash gives you access. So cash, having access to capital or cash, gives you access to things that other people don't have access to. It's the same thing. If you have, it's like having a certain membership. If you have a gym membership, only people who have that membership can get in there. Now, when it comes to a recession, there's certain things that you want to get access to. You want to get access to buying things that are on the cheap. You need to have cash. Or if you don't have cash, then maybe you need to get partners who have cash. Or get your credit right. If you need how to get your credit right, go to that zero to millions seminar on my website. They'll teach you ways to increase your credit. Or increase your access to more capital. So if you have access to $10,000, increase it to $100,000, increase it to $1 million, increase it to $10 million, increase your access to more cash. So when opportunity does come in the recession, you have the access to do it, to move on it, and it's not going to affect you, in terms of long term. You can actually be able to buy a lot more things if you have more access to more cash. So you might be able to buy one thing, but you don't want to just buy one thing. You want to be able to buy a lot of things because there's going to be a period of time when things are so cheap. You want to load up. So you want to be able to have access to cash. Partners, get your credit right, or get access to low interest loans. That's what you want to have access to. Now, the fourth thing in terms of preparing for recession is you have to reduce your bills or your liabilities. You have to find a way to reduce all your bills. Because like I said, like number two, where you feel like you live in recession right now, don't live extravagant. Live below your means, but also live to know that there's a reason for them doing this. It's not just forever. It's just for a short period of time. Hopefully just in recession time. But you live frugally and use all your extra cash to do all the other things, which we're going to talk about in the next one. But you reduce all your liabilities, reduce your car insurance, reduce that, reduce your cell phone bill, reduce your monthly prescriptions to everything. If you're having issues in terms of how to cut your income, find my other videos on how to reduce your liabilities. I have so many videos on my channel, on my YouTube, or on the podcast. There's ways to save, and also on the Zero to Millions Assets seminar, there's ways I show you, because it's 2.5-hour program. It shows you everything. So if you can, $14 is one of the best investments you can for just to learn all those little things that can help you. So make sure you reduce your bills any way you can. Now, the fifth thing in terms of preparing for a recession is find ways to learn more about recessions. Family members, books, whatever, YouTube, find more ways to learn about recessions if you didn't know what they were. Same myself in college. Like I said, 10 years ago, I didn't know what a recession was. I wish I did, because I think I would have been able to make a little more moves, but I didn't know about recessions. I didn't know how they worked. So don't just rely on this podcast. Do some more research, learn more about recessions, and teach your family also. Don't just keep it to yourself, and friends and family. And the last part on how to prepare for recession is you have to load up on underpriced assets that cash flow. That's what you want to do. That's how you prepare for recession. This part right here is you load up on assets that are underpriced and that cash flow. That simple thing right there will save you from every future recession. If you do it correctly, if you follow these steps, you load up on businesses, or you start your business, or you load up on real estate, or you load up on stocks and bonds that produce some kind of cash flow, or you load up on online businesses, or you start a website that can produce income, or you load up on land or oil or gas. You just load up on these assets that produce income, and that's how you prepare for a recession. If you don't know how to buy these assets and how to finance them, get the seminar. Go to our website, go download that seminar, and learn how to build assets. These are the things that will help you prepare for a recession. If you follow these steps continuously, I guarantee a recession will not affect you. A recession will not affect you or your family. Because like I said, for me, myself, I don't look at recessions as a bad thing. I look at it as an opportunity. You yourself personally, or as a business owner or as an entrepreneur, You should look at recessions as opportunities. Might be your best opportunity ever. That's how I look at it. I look at it as blessings. I always say, pray for the best, but prepare for the worst. How I got here is I prepare for the worst, but I pray for the best. If good times happen, great. If bad times happen, great. You have to understand how that works. I don't think negative. I don't think in terms of poor me or poor recession. No, if you were working at a store like Macy's and you only have that one job, you weren't prepared for a recession because Macy's fired you. Guess what? Now you're on the street and you're hustling, trying to get, some side money here and there, contract and doing something. You weren't prepared. You didn't prepare for the worst. You always thought you're going to have that job at Macy's. Don't rely on one single thing ever. How to prepare for recession? Follow these steps. You listen to this podcast again, over and over again, and hopefully it'll help you prepare for the recession that's coming or that's already here. That's what I'd say. So focus on those things. Prepare for the worst, but pray for the best. Live in it like as if we live in a recession right now. Load up on cash. Get your cash reserves and partners and credit and everything right. If you don't know how, get the seminar. Reduce your bills or your liabilities as much as possible. From internally means your own personal business and your personal bills, and also your business bills. Reduce all those as much as possible. Educate yourself, family, and friends on recessions. So keep learning more about them, and then load up on underpriced assets, the cash flow. That's how you make a killing, and that's how you become successful regardless of recession or boom or bust, whatever. It doesn't matter. These are the kind of steps you follow. Now, guys, I appreciate you guys joining me. Every Thursday, we're here to give knowledge. And if you guys have questions or comments, send us an email, info@corundagroup.com. That's info@corundagroup.com. If you have any comments at all, leave them into wherever you listen to this. We always want to appreciate responding and interacting with our customers and also our listeners. But also, guys, reach out to us. Get that DVDs, $14. It's one of the best investments you can make, and it will really help you personally and also business-wise. So, guys, until next time, I'll see you at the top.